2019. How did this happen?
I don't know. I remember back in 2000, everybody thought the world was going to end.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was prepared too, by the way.
were you hiding out in the basement, bomb shelter?
Hiding out and had pounds and pounds of dried food and
I thought you were going to say you had pounds and pounds of something else, Dad.
Yeah. But it's going to be a great year, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks.
Yeah, man. So from what our viewers have asked us and what they've been asking us in different videos or in different comment sections of the different videos, a lot of drummers trying to figure out how to grow their social media. They want to figure out how to crack the code. Before we get straight into that, you've done it. You've started Drum Talk TV. You've grown it to over 1 million followers. Man, give us a bit of insight into that journey, like from the beginning. What made you start it?
Great question, because it's an interesting story. Before I started Drum Talk TV, for about 6 months, I was teaching lessons online. I had a platform called Dan's Drum Clinics. And the way that came about was I had been working in corporate America for years with my own video production company, and that's some of what you referred to. I was working with really big brands, doing marketing and training videos, brands like Citibank, Wells Fargo,
wow.
The food group, which at the time was Pizza Hut, KFC, Taco Bell. I went to Australia for 10 days and stayed for 2 years.
Wow.
I ended working a lot with the charter yacht industry in the Sydney to Hobart race. And I came home, and my wife had come home long before I did and took care of my dad for the last 16 weeks of his life. And when he passed away, this was at my sister's place where he was living. I moved back into our house. And I was like, what do I do? I don't know. And I told my wife, I said, I really don't know what I want to do. So let me just help you with your marketing and stuff. She's an artist and she teaches, does art therapy, does murals. She sings. She's a performer, has a one-woman show, all kinds of things. So we did that for about 3 months. And then she said one day, she said, I think you need to find someone else to work with or do your own thing, something that fills your cup. And what she
get
really
out of
meant
my hair,
was,
basically.
Yeah, exactly. It was just maybe a little smothering, and I didn't know what to do. So how old was I then? I was 49 or 50, and she said, why don't you teach drum lessons? And when she said that, I realized, wow, yeah, I know how streaming video works now. I know how to market. I'm a trained trainer. I am a drummer. So I started that. But then what happened was, after a few months, I had this idea, this concept that drummers, and really all musicians, but let's just take drummers for a moment, can learn not just from at a practice pad or a drum kit, but we can learn from each other's perspectives based on their unique experiences. So I had this idea to start interviewing fellow educators and drummers, and some friends said, you're crazy. Why would you interview your competitors? And I just didn't see it that way. And one day I was leaving the house. We were in Vegas at the time, and I have 2 sons in San Diego, and Enja saw all these camera cases and crap stacked up by the door. She said, why are you taking all that with you? And I told her my new philosophy, and I said, I'm going to interview this guy and that guy and just have fun with it. And her eyes got real big, because I used to do interviews in another life. And she said, that's what you need to do. I said, what? She said, interviews. I said, woman, it's all about the drum lessons. Just another little tab on the website. I went down to San Diego, did the interviews, visited with my sons, came back 2 weeks later. We watched the interviews, and she's like punching me in the arm. See, I told you, this is what it's all about. Under her polite demand and support and everything, 3 months or a month later, I closed Dan's Drum Clinics, and I opened Drum Talk TV 3 weeks before the 2013 NAMM show. I got a media pass. I showed a friend of mine how to use one of my big cameras out in the parking lot before we went in. And on that first year, I interviewed some really big brands. I interviewed everybody from Gavin Harrison to Nico McBrain to Frankie Banali, goes on. And I knew that was my calling. And I just got really good at the content part of it. I knew from the beginning, and this is what everyone has to do. I sat at the grown-ups table, And had to come to terms with myself and realize that maybe not everyone is going to be interested in just the interviews. So I need to have other stuff too. And I came up with about 14 different types of content that were not our core product, which is interviews.